Have you ever been lying awake at 2 a.m. completely exhausted? Your eyes burning from sleep, but your brain suddenly feels more awake than ever. Out of nowhere, you remember something you were supposed to do, or you reply a conversation you had a few days ago. Then the thoughts begin. What if they misunderstood what I say? What if I ruin my future? What if I never become successful? Your body is lying still in bed, but your mind feels like it's running a marathon. If you ever experience this, the first things I want you to know is this. You're not alone. And more importantly, you're not weak. When people struggle with anxiety, they often hear the same advice. Just let it go. Stop overthinking. Just think positively. But if anxiety were really that easy to fix, no one would struggle with it. Imagine someone with a broken leg. Now tell them, just get up and walk. Can they? No. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't want to, but because there's a real obstacle standing in their way. Anxiety works in much the same way. From the outside, people only say your behavior. What they don't see is the battle happening inside your mind every single day. Imagine you have a job interview tomorrow. Everything is ready. You send your resume, you picked out your outfit, you even know exactly how to get there. But the night before, your mind starts racking. What if I messed it up? What if they ask me something I don't know? What if they don't hire me? Slowly, your heart starts beating faster. You can't fall asleep. When you wake up the next morning, you feel completely drained. Then you tell yourself, I'm just not good enough. But that's not the truth. You haven't even walked into the interview yet. Your brain has simply been living through the worst case scenario for hours. Here's something fascinating. The human brain wasn't designed to make us happy. It was designed to keep us alive. Thousands of years ago, if our ancestors heard rustling in the bushes and ignored it, they might have become a predator's next meal. So, the brain learned to detect danger before it looked for safety. The problem is, today, most of us aren't facing lions or tigers anyway. Today, aren't facing lions or tigers anymore, but our brains are still running that some ancient survival software. Only now, instead of wild animals, they're afraid of exams, job interview, unanswered message, or even what other people think of us. So, when you feel anxiety, doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with you. In fact, your brain is trying to protect you. Sometimes it just works a little too hard. Now you might be wondering, if my brain is trying to protect me, why does it make me suffer so much? Why does the very thing that's supposed to keep me safe sometimes become the greatest enemy of my peace of mind? The answer is something most people never get to hear, and it's exactly from this point what we can begin learning how to take back control of our mind. The truth is, anxiety is not your enemy. That might sound a struggle, but anxiety is actually your brain's alarm system. Think of it like a home security alarm that's installed to protect a house. Now imagine one night a cat jumps over the fence, and the alarm goes off at full volume. The next night, the wind blows, the alarm goes off again. The day after that, a bird lands on the roof. Once again, the alarm starts screaming. After a while, the house no longer feels peaceful. Not because a burglar ever showed up, but because the alarm treats everything as a threat. Anxiety can do exactly the same thing to our minds. Imagine that one day your teacher calls on you in class, and you give the wrong answer. A few classmates laugh. The moment passes, but your brain reaches a conclusion. Speaking in front of people is dangerous. Now, a few months later, your professor simply says your name. Before you've even spoken a single word, your heart starting racking. Your palms become sweaty. Your breathing gets shallow. It feels as if the same embarrassing moment is happening all over again, even though nothing bad has actually happened yet. This is where a cycle begins. First, a thought appears. What if I mess this up? Then your body reacts. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing speeds up. Your muscles tense. Then your brain notices this physical sensation and says, "See, this really is dangerous." And the anxiety grows even stronger. Sometimes it's not the thoughts themselves that make anxiety worse. It's our fear of the symptoms of anxiety. For example, someone notices that their heart is beating fast. Then they think, if it's something is wrong with my heart. What if something is wrong with my heart? That thought makes their heart race even faster. And the cycle keeps filling itself. When anxiety shows up, most of us respond in the same way. We avoid it. If we're afraid of speaking in public, we stay silent. If we're afraid of making phone calls, we send a text instead. If we're afraid of job interviews, we never apply for the job. In that moment, we feel relieved, but our brain learns a very important lesson. Good job! You escaped and you survived. So the next time it sends even a stronger anxiety, just to make sure you run away again. Imagine someone who's afraid of elevators. The first time they take the stairs, they think, thank goodness, nothing happened. The second time, they take the stairs again. The third time, the stairs once more. A few months later, they won't even go near an elevator. In reality, their fears hasn't become smaller. It's become bigger because they never give their brain the chance to learn that the elevator might not be dangerous after all. There is a common misconception. Many people believe they have to get rid of their anxiety first and only then take action. But psychological research shows almost the opposite. In many cases, anxiety begins to decrease when, instead of avoiding, gradually face the situation through small, manageable steps. Now, by throwing ourselves into the worst possible scenario, but by giving our brain the opportunity to learn, I can handle this. Now, the real question is, if running away only makes anxiety stronger, then what should we do instead? How do we break this cycle? Is there really a way to help the brain feel safe again? The good news is yes, and that's even more surprising. The way first step takes less than 2 minutes. So far, we have learning that anxiety isn't our enemy. It's simply a brain that's trying a little too hard to protect us. But now comes the most important question. How do we touch our brains that we're actually safe? Before we get into the educates, there's one important thing I want to say. If your anxiety is so severe what it's interfering with your daily life, work, studies, or relationships, or if you're experiencing panic attacks, severe depression, or thoughts of harming yourself, please reach out qualified mental health professional. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's so different from seeing a doctor for a broken bone. Now, let's talk about what you can start doing today. When anxiety showed up, our first instinct is usually to think, I don't want to feel this. I need to make it go away. But the harder you fight it, the stronger it often becomes. It's like trying to force a beach ball under water. The harder you push, the more powerfully it pops back up. The next time anxiety appears, instead of fighting it, pause for a few seconds. Tell yourself, My body is sensing danger right now, but feeling danger doesn't always mean I'm actually in danger. That simple sentence gives your brain a chance to step out of emergency mode. You've probably heard people say, just take a deep breath. But there's the important part. The goal of breathing isn't to erase anxiety. The goal is to send a message to your nervous system. You don't need to prepare to danger right now. Here's a simple exercise. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Then slowly breathe out through your mouth for 6 seconds. It doesn't have to be an especially deep breath. Just slow and steady. Keep doing this for about 2 minutes. Your anxiety may not disappear instantly, but your body will begin to move out of survival mode. When you're anxious, your mind actually lives in the future. What if, maybe, suppose? That's why it's important to bring yourself back to the present. Try this simple grounding exercise. Look around you. Name 4 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 sounds you can hear, 2 smells you can notice, and 1 taste you aware it. It may sound surprisingly simple, but it shifts your brain's attention away. From imagined stories and back to the real world. Imagine you're afraid of making phone calls. If you avoid phone calls for the rest of your life, your brain never gets the chance to learn that there's actually safe. But what if you start with a 30 seconds call, then a 1 minute call, then something a little longer, little by little? Your brain begins to learn. See? Nothing bad happened. Correct. It's the absence of fear. It's choosing to act, even while fears is present. Here's a question. If your closest friend came to you and said, I made a mistake, would you respond with, you're useless, you always mess everything up? Probably not. But many of us say this exact thing to ourselves every single day. Your mind listens to your inner voice of all day long. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm weak, I can't do this, eventually your brain starts believing it. So starting today, whenever you catch yourself putting ourselves down, pause for a minute. Ask yourself, if my best friend were in my shoes, what would I say to them? Then say the same words to yourself. If you've stayed with me until this point, there's one thing I hope you'll remember. Anxiety is not your identity. You weren't born to be an anxious person. Your brain has simply learned to see the world as more dangerous than it really is. And the same brain that learned those patterns can learn new ones. Maybe not in a single day, maybe not even in a single week, but through small step, consistent practice, and patience, peace can be rebuilt. If today you try just one of these strategies, that's already one step further than you were yesterday. And sometimes one small step is the beginning of a completely different life. Thank you for watching until the end. If this video helped you feel a little less alone, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear these words today. And remember, you not have to look strong all the time to be worthy. If there's something on your mind or bothering you, write it in the comments so I can make the next video exactly about that topic. Also, I read every single comment and reply personally. You can openly share anything you like with me. This is a safe space.